What's up, everybody? Today on Make It Cozy, I'm going to show you what I found to be the easiest way to clean and process your plastic to get ready for melting. Check it out. So one of the main reasons that I'm doing this is because people were starting to ask me. I've been doing a lot of projects that involve plastic, recycling plastic at home, and they said, hey, how do you get it clean enough and how do you process it in order to get it ready for melting? And well, let me tell you, but first I gotta fuel up. People have been talking about it on the comments that I don't drink enough coffee. So there you go, you saw it firsthand, right? And it's black coffee, boom, that's how I like it. Jugs, easiest thing to go through is water bottles, right? We drink a lot of water. Ever since quarantine, we were like, yo, we gotta get a truck of water because everybody's gonna be scrambling. Like the stock market, you know what I mean? We made the wrong bet. Everybody was going nuts for toilet paper. Drinking water, right? It's very cool, and it's also already cleaned up, right? There's no cleaning required, in my opinion. What I do, right? These caps, most of them are HDP as well. So what I like to do is cut them up, stick them in a little jar, right? I repurpose this jar, got a sweet lid on it. It's hexagonal. Everybody loves geometric shapes this go around. So there you go, right? Boom, right there. Just cut that right off. And then depending on what kind of situation you got, you could melt it as is. You can cut it up into little pieces. I've already made that Encino Man reference too many times, so we're gonna leave it at that. First things first is, now you got this label. And people are gonna tell me, hey man, you said that you use a water bottle and it's already good to go. I've checked that it says number 2 HDP on the bottom. I'm not talking about these type of water bottles, right? These are like PET, this is a number 1. The caps, however, these are good to go. Those are a number 2. You can melt those all day. Want to distinguish the difference between what kind of water bottles I'm talking about. I'm talking about these gallon ones. These come in milk as well, but then you run the risk of it going rancid, right? As soon as your milk is empty, you got to wash it out. You got to get it ready for process, and we'll talk about that later. Let's get to the easy stuff first. Now, rebuttal. People are going to say, yo, dude, you've got this right here. It's got sticky stuff. I try to peel it away and the paper comes off all the time. I don't want to use chemicals. I don't want to use Goo Gone. I don't want to use, like hydrofluoric acid or something because it'll melt your skin right off. Check it out. Breaking Bad. What's up? Chemistry. So what do? Well, easiest thing, go out and get yourself a heat gun. Pew! It's not plugged in. All right, you can go through. I like to use the wide, I like to go wide on all sides. You have to imagine this is like, demonstrational purposes only. You gotta add sound effects or else it doesn't work. The settings, 1 for low, 2 for blast, right? This is like jet engine. I go on low. Just go on low and just give it a sweep like you're painting or something, right? Whenever you're spray painting, you don't want to just with the spray paint. You want to like that, right? Same kind of situation. Just take your time. I just go back and forth just like this, real time, right? Boom. Now the next thing you're gonna tell me is, yo, dude, I don't want to go out. I don't want to spend $15 or whatever, $20 at Harbor Freight, Walmart, Lowe's to get me a heat gun just to start recycling plastic. That's all right. Boom. The 1980s Con Air, right? Also a great movie starring Nick Cage. Check it out if you get a chance. I got this. I nicked this for $4, right? Because my wife didn't like me using her awesome, like Super Salon model. Yeah, we got pretty close, you know what I mean? So there you go. You got a little bit of residue on there. It's a little bit sticky. And you know what? Usually what I like to do is go through it with a little bit of just dish soap, right? Just a little dish soap, especially if you got some hot water. It's going to help get that sticky stuff off. Not a big deal, right? You rinse it off, you're good to go. All right, that's it. And then as far as process, like I say, it depends on what you're going to be doing. If you want to start shredding stuff, you want to get this real fine. I got a shredder that I made or repurposed for lack of a better phrase, and I'll leave a link in the thingy, in the blippity blip. So check it out. Breaking this guy down. I take this little hot dog handle off, boom, just like that. And even if I'm going to shred it or not, this is the process I use every time. Now you might be thinking, or you might be asking yourself, hey, why would you not want to shred it? And that's if you got a griddle. We'll talk about that in a second though. But I split this open like a hot dog. I think I did this on the previous video with either doing the runs for my table saw sled or the other melt project that I did for like getting hammered or something like that. I'll leave links in those. They'll be coming up during the demonstration. Next thing I do is I take this bad boy off. And if I'm going to just go straight to the melter on the griddle, then I'll just cut this in half and then put like a relief Air Bunny slit in there to make it flatter. If I'm gonna put it in the shredder, what I do is I split it on one side and then I'll go most of the way up on the bottom and just hit like each like quadrant or whatever. Right, that way it's kind of flared out like a flower. And to make it a little bit better is I go on the opposite end and hit each one of those pieces right here. Just like this. All right. So now you can kind of see it flares out and it takes to the shredder a little bit better. And if you're going to be shredding it like this, going upwards, this is my shredding scissor fingers. So it'll kind of put it into smaller dices for you anyways. All right, so that goes in the bin right here. I got this bin from the dollar store. I just put all my stuff in there just to get ready for shredding later. Separate this floppy bit right here from the flat part. And by floppy, I just mean that it's been molded, right? So I usually take it from this shoulder, I guess. I don't know. I'm just gonna call it a shoulder. And then I'm gonna go all the way around the bottom to get this flat bit right here separated from the top part. For this part right here, right, it's got like for when they blow it up in the factory or whatever, it's gonna have some pretty hard pieces right down the center, and then also it's got two narbles right here, right? You can kind of look, they kind of look like fingernails or something, I don't know. I usually split those just to help my shredder out a little bit, and then if I'm gonna go straight to the griddle, I don't even do this part, but I'll kind of make some relief cuts so that whenever I feed it down, I'm gonna feed the blades so that they run this way along with this, this really hard bit in the center, just so it doesn't have to work harder. Cut it into strips. This is where you can make real quick work of it. And you can do it as hard or as flat as you want. I mean, as long or as thin as you want. It's up to you, right? This is your world. I'm just doing stuff. This part's got a lot of curves. Again, if you're putting it straight on the griddle, it doesn't really matter. But what I like to do is get these sections separated from this section. Griddle, you'll flatten these out. They'll melt. They will melt and turn flat is what I'm trying to say. But you don't want to do it like this. If you put it like this, my hand is the hot griddle. Imagine this is the bacon, right? Boom. If you do it like this, you're going to have air pockets right here. You don't want that. Flip it this way. That way it'll melt and just kind of relax into position. That way you can minimize your air bubbles. If you are going to put it in the shredder though, what I like to do is it's curving around this way. So I'm just going to make some relief cuts like this. Get it ready for shredding. Boom. This guy right here, it's got a lot of funky bits, right? Again, griddle, I split it right down the center. And that way, right, if I'm doing it this way, it'll kind of melt into position. The inside is really what you want to have facing up in your stove, your toaster oven, or on your griddle, right? This is the outside part that you're touching all day. This is the part that's touching the water whenever it's a full jug. Keep that up. Now, what do you want to do here? I'll make relief cuts in anything that's bent, right? And you're probably going to want to do quite a bit. And then just kind of go on the other side right here. Relief, relief, relief. This is for shredding. Plunk. Repeat. Dry, rinse, repeat. Or whatever the phrase is. We were talking about hair earlier with the hair dryer. Boom. There you go. Make relief cuts. And there you go. That's pretty much it for the water jug. So that's pretty much the bulk of my HDPE plastic that I work with. That's the stuff that we maintain in the house on a regular, is drinking water, and it's plentiful, right? You gotta drink a lot of water, stay healthy, stay hydrated. And then if you got bottled water like this, the caps, like the handy, single serving or whatever. These caps are HDPE. So, whoa, there's a big chunk. Big chunker. All right, check it out. See, so this is my shred right here, right? So this is kind of cool. All right, there you go. So I got a lot of this, and that's really what I use if I'm gonna put it in the oven. We got a lot of caps. Even these little tiny rings. Whoop. I've been saving those as well, right? So I got a whole slew of these. Same kind of situation. If you're gonna melt them on the griddle or in the oven, make sure you put the cap down so that you're gonna minimize your air bubbles that way. All right, so what other stuff could I do that has HDPE? Well, there's a lot of cleaning products that you can get, right? This one is from, actually, I think this isn't coffee, but some of the coffee ones are pretty good, and you're gonna eat coffee anyway, so all you gotta do is give it a rinse with some soap and water. Just use dish soap, let it dry completely. There you go. This was from the pod for the dishwasher. It's cleaning material. Same with this, right? This is cleaning fluid for the dishwasher. Just rinse it out. This was from soap, all right? This is from laundry soap. It's all cleaning type stuff. You're not really gonna eat it, so you wanna make sure that you do a pretty good job cleaning it. Now, that's all I do. I just do soap and water, all right? You wanna make sure that it's dry. If you're gonna go straight from like cleaning to melting, and you don't have the luxury of doing it the next day or that weekend, right? It might sound kind of funky, but what you can do is if you throw it in the dryer, you know what I mean? Throw it in the sun if you got a nice sunny day. Do it like you did back in the day with the clothespins. Not literally, because your neighbors might think you're wacky. And hey, so be it, right? Everybody's unique. That's what makes the world nice. So that pretty much hits what I do for HDPE. The other common plastic that you can do at the house is a number 5 in the US, which is the polypropylene. PP. Nice thing about those is that they are pretty common for like medicine jar caps. And what my kid really likes to do is get those like squeezy pouches for yogurts, and the caps on those are polypropylene. And it's cool because they come in a variety of colors. For example, I got a lot of these reds, right? So I got some red caps right here with the medicine jar tops. These come from my kids' vitamins. Now sometimes they'll have a plastic bing bong in them. Oh, I got one right here. And that looks like this, right? This is like the safety thing to keep it from popping out and getting your kids like, I want to eat gummies like, for breakfast or whatever. You're like, no, that's like 17 gummies. What are you doing? Screwdriver, that comes out. That way you separate the clear from the yellow or whatever the case may be. These are happen to be yellow. Some of the yogurt ones, right? I got some purple. I got white. I got a lot of white ones, right? That's a pretty common color as well. This is from a coffee. Got different color greens in here. You got blues in there, right? So you got a lot of different options. Now, the follow-up question for that is going to be, on the vitamin thing, not a big deal. Just rinse them, scrub them, that's cool. But what if my kid's like squeezing, like pumping it like a doctor whenever they're taking your blood pressure, and they're like, does this hurt? And you're like, I can't feel my arm anymore. Sometimes the yogurt gets up in here. And yes, it can go rancid. Yes, it does get a little gooey. But really what I like to do is that I just blast it with some water, just real quick, just psst. And then we have like a little brush that has a point on it so that we can get into like bottles or my kid's water bottle and stuff like that to clean like dishes and cups and whatever. I'll just hit it in there real quick, and then I just let it dry in the dish drainer, or I'll put it like in a strainer or something like that. Just hit a bunch of them at once. Not a big deal. These don't even smell like anything. I don't smell any rancid, yogurt or anything. And trust me, my nose is pretty sensitive, so if it stinks, you're gonna notice it in my face. That's what I do. That's how I process it. It's relatively simple. It's, it sounds like a lot. Like, if you collect a barrel full of cap, this one came from like peanut butter or something. Phoenix, oh yeah. Polypropylene, man. Come on, baby. I'm talking about plastic. Check it out. I got a lot of caps. If you collected all these caps at once, and trust me, I don't leave a barrel full of caps in my kitchen. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a little thing, like a little cup or something. And then at the end of the week, I'll go and blast them real quick. If you got a lot of these, it can be overwhelming. I understand that. But I'm not sure. I haven't tested it. If my dishwasher gets hot enough to like make these gooey, but if somebody has done that and it has worked and you don't get melted plastic all over your dishwasher, like I said, I've never tried it, but if somebody who has, hit me up in the comments so that the community can figure it out, because that would be like the ideal situation. You know what I mean? You could like load the top rack of your dishwasher with a bunch of these and just let that do the work for you. And then you can throw it in the dryer, like on a low setting, like I talked about with the HDPE. Now let's talk about some similarities and differences between the HDPE and polypropylene. Granted, they're different types of thermoplastics and they melt at different temperatures, but when it talks about like the melting process, right? I do this one of two ways, or sometimes in tandem. I will use the Griddle for polypropylene pretty much exclusively, because this stuff gets real sticky whenever it gets into its melting phase. And that's kind of nice to get into like intricate molds if you want to do it that way. But cutting these up and processing them like you would HDPE, like in a shredder, unless you have one of those ones from Precious Plastic that has like a billion teeth and it's like, you know, if you stuck your hand in it, you're pretty much minced. That's cool. Go ahead and do it that way. But me, I just lay them out in line like that. It's like this griddle, it'll heat on the top and the bottom. And I've got these two pieces right here. This is just like Teflon grilling mat. I'll line these up. Like this, right there, the line, blah, blah, blah. I'll stick this on top, put this down, and then depending on the situation, I might throw a little weight on there. It'll melt, and then what I was talking about before with letting it come to temperature is that I'll just take this off whenever it's melted, so it's like a little flat pancake. And then with some heat-resistant gloves, and I've mentioned before that I got to get better ones because these stain because they're dirty, right? They have like wood particles and gunk. But with some good, clean, like silicone heat-resistant gloves or something like that, you can take this and goo it together, get out all those air bubbles, stick it back on here as a giant, like, homogeneous glob now. Put your paper back on, plunk, weight it, let it go, and then stick it in whatever you want to mold it in. With HDPE, I'll do both ways, like I talked about earlier. I'll stick some pieces on the griddle. I'll stick some pieces in my toaster oven. And if you look here, I got this guy for $4 at the Goodwill. This guy was a little bit more pricey. I got this for $10. 10 for the hair dryer. You're looking at about $20. I got a little tray. This is a Teflon tray. And so I'll just put stuff right in here. Sometimes I used to put like I used to put parchment paper, but that was on the aluminum little thin thing. And it's gonna, any plastic is gonna stick to that aluminum like nobody's business. I threw it away. It was a hassle. I didn't like it. So I got one of these. This was like $2. And it's deep too. It holds a lot of plastic. So once you get a big glob in here, you've got a whole, like, what is this, like 1.5 inches to work with by however long this is, 5 by 5 or something, 4 by 4. So there you go. And then, like we saw in my plastic press video, right? If I'm going in tandem, I got HDP in here, I got HDP in here. I'll start working this in small batches into like a blob while I have like a big bunch of shreds in here. And then once they all blob together, because this is going to take more time, and I'm working it within small batches in here, I can get a big glob similar to a big glob, put the two globs together. Now we're globbing up, right? That way, whenever it's ready for the press or it's ready for the mold, clamp it down, use the jack like you saw in my other video, and then that way you've got an HDPE blank, right? This was my end product in a previous video, so this is what I'm working with. I got a lot of large home projects going on right now, so that's why I've been kind of lax in my updates. But it's coming. Like I talked about, I teased earlier. I teased it. Like you do your hair. This is all hair. They're all hair references, right? Tease it. Anyways, we talked about polypropylene. Very sticky, very gooey. But it's going to maintain its form and its color whenever you go through the melting process. HDPE is different. It's going to glob and it's going to be real like Play-Doh-like, for lack of a better phrase. So you can move it, you can, groove it right on the go, right? Just make sure you protect yourself. Now, speaking of safety, melting plastic at your home is no laughing matter. It's not something to be taken lightly, all right? You want to make sure that you're doing this in a well-ventilated area. Now, I've seen some folks that they do it in their kitchen's stove, and hey, if that's what you want to go with, then so be it. Just make sure that you're doing it in a well-ventilated area and that you have like a kitchen hood or something like that. What I like to do is, yes, I'll do it in a well-ventilated area, and I usually wear a respirator as well. You want a respirator that has like a charcoal filter. That way it'll get any of those like microplastics and stuff that may happen to come out of solution, for lack of a better phrase, whenever you are in the melting process. But as long as you don't burn the heck out of it and just, like, this is taking too long to melt, I'm going to crank it to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not what you want to do, right? You want to maintain it low and slow, like a barbecue. Yes, it might take a little bit longer, but it's safer that way. Other than that, that's pretty much all I got for my plastic processing processes. So if you have any other questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. But also just check out the interweb because it's got a lot more information than I gave to you today. This is mainly just how I clean and process it. As far as safety goes, take that under your own and under your wing and check it out. All right. We'll hit you up on the next one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Check out my other videos that I put up. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.